One, and it is recording now. We are live. Frank, how you doing, man?
All right, Jackson, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well, man. And of course, it's Friday. It's beautiful outside, so yeah, I can't
Oh,
complain. So for the viewers' sake, here we have Frank Bunn, a I mean, I guess I could call you a teacher, right? A trading teacher. Is that
yeah,
appropriate?
yeah, right. I was a reluctant, I'm a really an accidental teacher. So,
Just kind of
I
fell
mean,
into it.
yeah, it did. It came at a time where, you go through change in life, but I like a lot of personal tragedy. And so there's actually a couple of interesting stories. You poke around long enough, you end up teaching people to do whatever, trading assistants or um, just outright students, interested neighbors. I mean, you kind of just, you can't help it.
So I
Yeah,
guess you were probably trading, right? And then you say the interested neighbors, they see you're trading, they see you're successful, or
right.
they see you not go to work every day, and they're driving to work, and they're like, what is this guy doing? And they
Yeah.
start
Yeah. It
asking.
was always like, yeah, what the hell's that? But for about 15 years, I told people, I was a shoe salesman, like a traveling shoe salesman, but then, I was around all the time. And then, but you're right. Like there's a curiosity to it. Very much so.
Hmm. Hmm.
Very much so. Yeah.
It's funny you
So.
say that. My dad was a shoe salesman,
Oh,
not a
nothing wrong
trader.
with that. There's
No,
not a thing wrong with that.
yeah,
It's a
I did.
great.
Love
You kind of just you tell them that. Oh, okay. Like no one ever wants to know
it.
more. You know, great. It's a
So
great cover.
yeah, right. They pretty much leave you alone. I heard somebody else say that too, and they were like, tell them you sell insurance, and then
Oh,
people would automatically are like, yeah, never
oh
mind.
yeah, yeah, right. Or annuities or something. Yeah. Oh,
Um,
geez.
so also for the viewers too, I also tell them, hey, just a little layout of the show, list of questions here for Frank. So I'm going to get right to it. So first question, kind of a an underhanded throw right here, but how did you get into trading? What was the main thing that got you into that?
Um, Several things. I mean, I really couldn't. It was the '90s, and I really couldn't keep a job. I didn't want a job. It was the whole you'd wait before your time, but it was the whole Bush, the Bush one, the read my lips thing. None of us had any kind of opportunities, but and I have no formal background in finance or uh, anything related to the investment world. So it was a combination of that. And also, when I was younger, my father had this friend when I was a kid, and he used to, he quit his job. He was this interesting, he was this Asian American guy. The name was Shu. And so he quit. He quit work where my father was a market manager, and he quit to go down, and he spent his days down at this brokerage downtown in Harrisburg, and he would ostensibly, I suppose he traded. I don't know how he did it or what he did, but this really interesting thing where he just, on any investment that he made, he took either an 8% loss or a 20% gain. That was his whole strategy. He just played this long term risk game. And he profited year in and year out. That was like my first introduction to risk, which no one ever has at all. So risk games then kind of became a thing. And then later on, when I met the people that I did, I was fortunate enough to meet some people who helped me learn how to do this. And so it was a combination of that in the '90s, and then just not wanting to work.
How old were you when you saw your dad's friend? How old were you when all
Oh,
that?
I was like 9 or 10. Yeah, well, my father was an investor, and I dabbled in shares. I had owned shares. I inherited some over the years. But back then, it was, in the '80s, it was, I don't know, any type of trading or anyone that didn't go to work every day, it was real suspect. It was like, I don't know about this guy. It was, it was speculation. It wasn't anything they considered stable. So, it was frowned upon in the house when I talked about, well, I'm gonna make money in shares somehow. Yeah, I better
No, you should
get
go
this
to
guy
college.
straightened out. So, right, I was real young, very young.
Did
Yeah.
did you go to college?
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah. I have a BA from Dickinson College in Carlisle,
Okay,
Pennsylvania.
oh, PA baby.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So yeah,
Cool.
that's how that worked.
Okay. Um, So on your website, right, frankbunn.com, correct?
Right.
So I saw on there 30,000 hours of screen time analysis. So did you start full time trading in the 90s as well? Because
Oh
30,000.
yeah, yeah. Well, I met my father. Again, he worked for this international company. He traveled all over the world, and I two people that really influenced me. One, the guy's name was Pete Barry. He was a retired New York options broker, and he taught me how to trade options, which was huge because that was that was a big model for me for a lot of years, and I would have never been able to do that had not. I mean, you just don't learn what I learned by dabbling, or reading books or anything. In fact, I've never really have read a book. The other friend that my father had, this guy's name was Dan Heisek. He was a retired floor trader from the Merc,
Oh, okay.
and so yeah, that's where I learned. That's where I learned price behavior, price levels, um, and interpreting, basically beating your competition in the content, whatever that content is. I couldn't get a job. I wanted to trade at the Philix, the PHLX back in the '90s. They closed all the regional
Oh, in
exchanges.
Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At the time, they were trading like 450 stocks and options, and I went down there a couple of times, and it was amazing what those guys were doing. I mean, they were killing it. But um, you know, the greedy Nasdaq and the whole move towards electronic volume was just too strong, and so they ended up closing those. But it was really difficult to get a seat though. But a lease was only like 2,500 a month at the time, and I was pulling that out of the tape, but it just didn't happen. So I took what I learned and went back and I adapted it to the screen.
Nice, nice.
That's right.
When you say it was 2,500 a month for a seat, is that to be a floor trader? You have to
It was a lease. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Back then, you had to have $25,000 in equity, and then you got up to, depending on how well you did. I mean, that could scale because there was leverage. I mean, well, yeah, obviously had to be certified as well too, and you had to have all the certifications. But yeah, so it was 25 grand, and then I think it was either 2 or 2,500 to lease the seat every month.
and
You had to be sponsored.
when you lease the seat, what are you able to do then? Like how does that?
But this is what most people don't understand about exchange based trading. Like I talk to students about it all the time because everybody looks at a screen now.
Right.
There's really no money to be made in the screen because everybody's looking at it, and so that's why most people can't make this work. I mean, it's just the way that happens. But as far as well, I guess okay, I don't want to get off track, but you're asking me, just reframe your question if you don't mind, because I'm not want to make sure I'm on track.
Yeah, yeah. So and excuse me too, because I might be a little I might not understand this, but when you lease a seat there, is that to work as a floor trader?
Right, right. I wanted to trade on the floor. I wanted to try. Okay, here's what happened. So this guy Dan, the guy that taught me from the Merc. Okay, think of it this way: you go to a farmer's market, right?
Right.
You just want it, like Jackson goes to farmers. He just wants an orange. He wants like just a juicy orange. It's in
One
the middle.
single orange.
Okay,
Yep.
so just one orange. So you look around. There's like 3 or 4 orange vendors. Okay, how are you assured by that marketplace that the price you pay is fair?
Okay.
How do you do that?
Compare a couple oranges.
Exactly. You look around and you can see what everybody else is doing, right? Okay. Well, the best lesson that I learned from the floor, even though I was never on it, but I worked with guys who were, was that they basically, this is really hard to believe, but back in the 80s and 90s at the Merc, a popular strategy, believe it or not, was to fade all incoming order flow that's coming off of the floor. Any of the small institution and retail order flow coming from off the floor, they faded it.
What
If
do
they
you
were going long, well, if there was long orders coming in, they sold them. If it was short orders coming in, they longed it. And these guys could make, that was a strategy. These guys could make bank quarter after quarter for their investors by doing this. Why? Because they're at the exchange. They know what the prices are. They know where the order flow's moving around. They know who the whale is. They know who's really buying and selling. off the floor or off exchange retail order flow is some of the most informed order flow in the business. Like, I mean, I crush it every day. The uninformed market participants are just, they come around every year in and year out, and they lose, lose, lose. Okay. So these people just aren't right. They're never on the right side of the market, you know? So what you do is, yeah, this was all framed like early in my career where like basically, wait a minute, man. This is all backwards. Well, yeah, it is. So when you think about everybody, sitting around watching a screen, technical analysis, all this bullshit, is that, hey, everyone else is doing the same thing. And the algos are even doing it better. And then when you think about the exchange driven market maker system, well, hell, they know where the order flow is. So you're not going to get around them, right? So you're not going to do that with traditional technical analysis. It's all bunk. It's all faded. Okay, so what you do is you get around it. You exploit the low hanging fruit. The low hanging fruit's the uninformed market participant. He's always going to be wrong. That's the guy you scalp. And then you make sure that the exchange driven market maker system and the bots are not in your way. And you can make money with direction over and over again, right? On a serial transaction basis, right? Does that make sense?
Sort of, sort of. I'm
Okay.
I'm I'm a novice.
Right,
I'm
that's
like
okay.
explain it to me like I'm 5 or 3. That's where I come from. But I think a
Basically,
lot of
well,
our viewers too probably a little like
if
that.
you think about, well, let me explain a little differently then. Like if you think about, uh, okay, so look what happened in the retail market when they moved away from like to commission free trading.
Mhm.
Commission free trading, they that's ostensibly a boon for the, no, it isn't, because now your broker has no incentive to do anything for you. In fact, the payment for order flow debacle, where now it's even worse because the exchange driven market maker system knows where all that order flow is. They know where all the stops are. They know where all that is. And now this is not, I'm not talking about investing. I'm talking about like what I do, like price arbitrage for my office, for the family office I work for. Okay, so we're talking about like serial transactions to hedge and for profit over and over and over again. That's not investing. Investing might involve, fundamental analysis or belief in the U.S. economy or whatever. Okay. But as far as serially trading for profit, man, I'm telling you, they're out to get you.
So do you think because that payment for order flow, right? I did read up on that, when that all that was going on during the pandemic, Robinhood, all that stuff.
Right.
That payment for order flow, do you think that some of those big boys, and I guess maybe this is like conspiracy theory, but like probably pretty true, I don't know. But do they look at like all those order flows that go through in one spot where it's like, say, I won't name a specific, but we'll use Robinhood, all those Robinhood orders, and it's like, hey, they're all trading this XYZ. They have their stops here, and then those big boys that are behind the
Absolutely.
scenes, they go by, hit those stops, and then knock them all out, and
Right.
just do whatever.
Right.
Is that
Just look at this.
conspiracy
I
though?
mean,
Or is it real?
pardon me?
Is that like conspiracy, or is that like kind of no?
No, no, there's no doubt. I mean, look, I'm in a relative way, I'm as outside as you are, but I can see it in the tape. I mean, I see, I'll see a spread in Airbnb just widen to the point where, I mean, it's just an absolute ripoff. It'll go from, 15, 20 cents to 60. And they're just hunting. They're just moving that around to see what they can do. Here's the thing that most people don't understand about the NASDAQ national, the NASDAQ, the NNM, the NASDAQ national market. It's probably like if thievery in broad daylight is a thing. Okay,
It
because
is.
stops. Here's the thing: the stops are triggered on the movement in the bid and the ask, not a print. So all they got to do is move the bid and ask around, and they capture your order way up here, and you're going to get done. You're going to get filled. And there you can get filled without any volume crossing the tape at those prices,
How do they do that?
because those are the rules.
You know,
Those
I've
are the
I've
rules of the
seen
exchange.
I've seen it where when I was trading, I don't really dabble too much into trading, mostly like marketing and stuff like this. But um, I remember when I was trading, and it was like it would happen at times where it would hit the stop like perfectly, and then it would like bounce off your stop. where most people,
Absolutely.
and it's like, yo, what is this? Like, come on, are you
Right.
kidding me?
Right. There is on the book, what's called on the book stops. I don't think anybody, well, first of all, um, I have I for my real time short interval hedging and trading, I have software that I've programmed. Like they're not robots, they are robots, they're trade assistants. But they'll there's all kinds of things I do to mask the order flow. Like it sits on my machine until it's forced through. I mean, on the book stops, what they called, where they actually, where it went from your broker to the exchange, where everybody could see, like, oh, Jackson's got 100 share stop here. I mean, I don't know if anybody does that anymore. I still think they are listed, but yeah, I mean, sure. It's like, oh, everybody, oh, there you go. Let's go get him. Yeah.
A little scary. Hey, real
Well,
quick, uh,
yes.
I have these pop-ups coming up, and I have to something on this recording. I'll chop this and just a quick
Oh,
little
that's okay.
break here, but I have to click this because I just want to make sure that all this saves and we're not like wasting anything. But just 1 second here. Sorry about
Sure.
that. And we're back.
All right.
Where did we leave off here?
Just talking about the on the book stops, where the stop is actually a registered, listed, uh, open order for anyone to see anywhere on, they say, that's like the pseudo stops and a lot of the contingencies and things to get around that. But yeah, the spread system on the NASDAQ is really where they're out to get you. I mean, the machine wants to make sure that everything stays in the range. So I mean, every conceivable possible technical trigger or phenomenon or anything, from a technical analysis signal, that common signals, moving average, whatever it is immediately traded against. And you can see that. So that's the idea, because all they have to do, they don't have to rebalance their account. Then they just can funnel, like, shovel shares off to buyers and sellers in these high volume situations. That's where they make the big bucks doing that on the supply side, right? I guess.
Probably more than if they were to charge for the trade, right? But it's more when they have the free commissions, but then they can do that order flow. They probably make more essentially.
Well, yeah. Well, the exchanges, like, if you think about the market maker system, I mean, yeah, with the widening spreads, I mean, they've just increased their net by billions. I mean, just think about another 10 cents. I mean, you got, like, let's say Tesla out there. I mean, Tesla trades anywhere from 200,000 to maybe 600,000 shares every single minute that the US market is open. That doesn't even include the post and the pre-market. So just think of the volume in there. Absolutely.
Hmm. Interesting. So moving on to question two here.
Okay.
Uh, how did you get into running education? I know at first you said it was a tragedy. If you don't want to go into it, totally fine. I can move on to question three here. But
Yeah.
uh,
No. No. I'll answer. Yeah. There was a well. This is a really crazy story, and it went south, and the whole thing was ended up not being good. But there was this guy. This is a friend of mine in 2007 or 2008. His name was Ed Burke, and I had been working with people off and on, and then stopped for a while. But he had this idea. CNBC was going to do this $1 million challenge, and this is probably, I don't even know if you could find videos of it anymore. But he's so he wants to, you get $1 million of phony money, and then anybody at the end of 12 weeks has the most, they win, right? Well, it was stocks options or stocks and forex or something. So I give him this, like, trading system, and Ed, I gotta say, like, Ed did all the work. Ed was a chess player, and he was a pretty interesting dude, and he figured out a way to. He made most of it in forex, but so he works this system that I gave him, and he ends up winning. He wins the challenge, and he won $500,000. So his phone starts ringing off the hook, and he's like, yeah, he couldn't answer anybody's questions. So we put this thing together. We wrote this little ebook about it was called How I Won. And it detailed this simple system, for stock selection, that got him up onto the leaderboard. Right. So that's kind of how my teaching business was officially born. because man, yeah, we just like they were hunting us down after that because everybody wanted to know
How'd you
how he
do
did
that?
it. Right, right. Yeah, sure.
Did you sell that book or did you just give it out for free download?
Oh yeah, no, no, we sold it. A friend of mine was a marketer, and the whole thing got ugly, and some videos were made. And it was like 2008 or nine, where it wasn't social media wasn't what it was now, and so but we did. It was a company called ClickBank, um, and yeah, it flew off the shelves. I mean, everybody that year wanted to know because Ed Burke. I mean, they took him up. I mean, he had the check. Um, he had the whole thing. I mean, he's on national TV with Sue Herrera back in the day and Bill Griffith and all those guys. He's running around CNBC for the day, like a bad suit on, you know. So I mean, so anyway, yeah, it was just all that exposure. So after that, I just had an audience. It was a total fluke, Jackson. I mean, I could never do it again. Would never happen.
It sounds like this like a good thing. I don't know where the tragedy is in this. It sounds like
Well, what initially got me into working with other people was I had some very sad things happen in my life, and so yeah, at a time where there was a time where I couldn't really take risk. I couldn't. Um, I mean, I know how to trade, but I just couldn't. I just didn't have any interest, or so I helped people, and that was Udemy. Udemy was a big thing for me because that came at a great time for that.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I have a question below that main question, but so did they reach out to you or how does that work? Because I've heard of Udemy before. I think I've done like maybe something on there, nothing to do with trading or anything, but I think I took like maybe one course and something years ago. But
Right.
did they reach out to you or did you reach out to them and just kind of get started?
Tell you, I had this friend of mine who was like an internet marketer, and he made a lot of money selling building software tools. His name was Jeff Alderson, and he's still down in Florida somewhere. But he I had a couple of these classes, and so the idea he was going to sell them, man, he couldn't give them away. I mean, give this away. So what he does is he gets this idea. He hears about this company called Udemy, and he puts them on Udemy, and so like my first month on Udemy, I think I made like $70. I was like, Jeff, this is a bust, right? So I don't know what they did. I had two courses. One was $500 and one was 700, and they were two of my early ones. And so a lot of my screen time, my early screen time research was in there. But about 7 months later, though, I went viral with some kind of promotion they did. And man, boom, I was putting on like 1,500, 2,000 enrollments every month after that for years. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I have like 50 or 60,000 total enrollments on that. But yeah, so it was again, total fluke. Total fluke.
When did you start with Udemy? When did you start doing that? What year was that?
It was 2013 was my first 2013, 2014. Right, right.
Nice.
Um, yeah, crazy. 10 years.
Yeah, yeah. I know time goes by so quick,
Oh,
man.
it does, man. It really does.
So with your classes on there and with your courses on there, can experienced traders go on there and take your courses, or does it have to be someone like me, like a novice, or what are your courses like on there?
Well, they helped me frame the curriculum. I made a mistake early in my teaching career, and I assumed that people understand the tenets of price arbitrage, and they don't. They don't. I mean, because my first six or seven courses were strategies that I had used over the years to scan, sort, select, whatever, real time, end of day, and weekly, whatever it was. So what I did is there was some really helpful people there, and I worked with them to build. I created a beginner's course, which started from the very beginning. And then I also this one called Mastering Price Charts, which took you from there to strategy. So yeah, if an experienced trader who understands price behavior, yeah, there's one of like six or eight really great strategies there that you could implement or test. Or for someone that's a total newbie, I mean, yeah, you would start obviously at the beginning.
Okay, so you kind of cover all angles there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it worked out. It didn't always, though. I mean, it kind of that was a process. Um, yeah, of a lot of hate mail. You know.
People are always gonna hate, man. When you're on the internet, it's inevitable. It's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah, right. I mean, yeah, it's like, man, this is lousy. I'm like, geez, it's not the well, you got to know how to use it. Okay, then that spurred the whole thing of working. I was working with people. I had this thing like I'm going to answer everybody's question. And then so the courses themselves are a pretty vast knowledge base. I mean, some of them have like I think some of them have thousands of posts and questions that I did over those like 3 or 4 years. Got to the point though where it was just so busy. You can't. Udemy's a failed business that way from the instructor side. I mean, you can't help that many people. You can't you can't respond to every single you just all you would do all day is type emails, and respond to posts. It can't be done. So it kind of fizzled.
Hmm.
Um,
Do you still do it?
oh yeah, I'm still on there. I mean, yeah, I still work with people. I moved everyone that was serious about it over to a school. A friend of mine, well, Ellie helped me. She's a content marketing guru. So she helped me build the school on Teachable.
Hmm.
And then that's much more focused where I can actually take a look and okay, what are you doing? What do you want to do? What's it look like? And I can see if they can be trained.
Ah, nice, nice. Um, do you do any like I know a lot of people on like Discord or Zoom, they'll like stream. Do you still trade and do you trade daily?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
You,
all I do. Yeah.
okay, nice,
This
nice.
is like a side like teaching's a kind of a side thing. Do a certain amount of consulting. But yeah, I work for a private family office. It's a Pennsylvania family, and um, I build hedge models for either outright speculation or to hedge existing positions. Um, so, for example, like if uh, if they're long a certain bunch of stocks, then I'll build models that just short the rallies throughout, like on a short interval time frame. Things like that, or just build them. So that's really how I help a lot of people. They don't have any clue about well, how do I take this from knowledge to practice? So then I can help them model it or model something.
Do you live stream your trades at all or no?
No,
Okay,
no.
keep it pretty private.
Yeah, I never wanted. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Everything that I have is extremely proprietary, and the tools that I use to do that, like my short interval stuff, are extremely proprietary. Where I mean, I don't even know. Geez, I wouldn't even know how what the code would look like, but like it gives me an incredible edge that I can't give to somebody in that interval. So that's why I don't teach those. I teach the daily, weekly, where I know I can give this guy, I can go and give him a shot at doing this.
Right,
Um,
right. That private family office, is that the Hershey family?
huh? No,
I'm
no.
just
If
kidding.
it was, I wouldn't be involved with them. Yeah, there'd be somebody else running that. What a monster that is.
I know, right? Um, I see you also run boot camps. Are those
Yes.
are those in person or are those online as well?
Yeah. No. Everything I do is live.
Okay.
So all my classes are live. Like, well, the Udemy ones are pre-recorded, but I'll do the boot camps are live, and that's for someone that knows. Like, okay, like I did a couple of them last summer. They were neat. I did one with options and one just a breakout strategy, and so I can say, okay, everybody has got to be on this page, and then when they are, and then we can follow through. Usually, like 2 or 3 sessions, um, to 2 or 3 days, like an hour a day, and then it takes them from A to Z for whatever they want to do,
Oh,
or
cool.
whatever
Boot
that
camp.
strategy does. Right? Yeah.
Nice, nice.
So it's quick.
So this next question, I know you keep things pretty private, but what type of what do you normally trade? Do you trade futures? Do you still trade options? You
No, everything I do are leveraged. It's leveraged equities.
okay.
Yeah, it's leveraged equities. I traded options for several years in the early 2000s. The problem that I had is I couldn't scale. I couldn't scale it. And with equities, I mean, yeah, I don't a lot of the Dow components, I mean, you can get a lot of shares. You can get, I mean, I can put the leverage to work that I couldn't. I just was never comfortable with, two or $300,000 of options premium, depending on what it was. Especially with the way man, that's manipulated as well. All of the way the VIX works, the way the volatility is fluctuates. Yeah, I never want to do that. So besides, price is my game. So if price is exactly what I look for, the options creates a secondary market. Now I got to worry about how the option behaves vis-a-vis the underlying. I don't want to have to sweat that.
Do you? I guess you still look at it though, since you're trade. You're
Yeah,
trade.
I still watch. I mean, I watch the VIX, but I mean, all my models are directional at this point. I don't do any delta neutral trading. Everything's directional. I mean, I'm in it for you know, the pop one way up or down.
Okay. So with that bear market we've been seeing, have you had to change your strategy at all? Have you now just keep rolling how you do?
What's really interesting is that the longs in these steep declines are, well, the market now, this whole paradigm, I mean, it sets up the fall. That's all that it does. I mean, if you take out the COVID rally, I mean, the Dow really hasn't done anything in 5 years or 6 years or whatever. I mean, it's flatline. But and then with the splits in Google and Amazon, now that it's all, now it's even more of the bots are running that. So it's just up and down. But I find that the longs do much better in high volatility environments anyway. So no, I haven't changed anything in a long time.
Cool, cool. With the pandemic, did you see a big increase in students? Because I know a lot of new traders just came out of the woodworks in the
I'll
pandemic.
tell you, Jackson. I mean, honestly, man, an Elio. I was trying to kill this business for like 10 years. I was like, I'm not a teacher, and I get it, and I help. I try to help you. I really want to help, and I know that sounds totally corny, but I don't feel right. Like I don't feel right if someone like because this trading education. I mean, what a cesspool,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there is so much shit out there. It's regurgitates the same thing. These just failed strategies. Nothing works. I mean, they don't know how to do it, so they teach. But I always wanted to make it work for the guy, and I feel bad if I can't. So I'm thinking like I gotta kill this. And so yeah, but I mean, COVID came around. I thought that was surely gonna kill it. I thought it'd be the sure end of my teaching business. It was not. So yeah,
That's
they basically beat my door down. Yeah.
um,
Shit.
and then what do we have here? So actually, this was pretty interesting. So uh, on your website, it says results guaranteed.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how are you able to do that? That's nuts.
Um, yeah, it's interesting. Well, okay. Here's the thing: there are several stipulations, and I'm actually in the process of where I'm teaching people and I'm funding them
Oh, so
because I
if you're good
believe,
enough,
like,
you say.
yeah, I teach them how to do it, and then I give them one of my accounts to trade. Like that's how. Like, yeah, I know it's ridiculous. People, yeah, I know. Well, but yes, I can. If your personality, first of all, screen trading is like it's very personality based. All right. And it's not certainly not it's not a dig on one type of personality or another. But introverts really, really struggle with it because they're just in their head. And your run of the mill hardcore extrovert, which you can tell I am. I only know one person on earth that's more extroverted than me, and she was my trading assistant. She was so bad, like you couldn't stand her, you know. But so but extroverts derive their affirmations externally. It's very, very easy for them to develop pattern recognition skill, trust what they see because it's outside, and they can get consistent. Introverts really, really struggle with that. They get in their head. They think about, well, what was I doing last Tuesday? This trade didn't work. It goes on and on and on. It's this spaghetti mixture of emotions and whatever. There's nothing wrong because they're wonderful people. But so if your personality type clicks, yeah, I can guarantee that when I'm finished teaching you, you will consistently be able to profit. Yeah, and yeah, so that's another part of my thing of saying, hey, there's so much bullshit in this teaching industry. Um,
It's funny, man. There is. I talk to
sucks.
a lot of the people that I have on the show here. I end up saying the same thing of like a lot of these traders out there. They'll quote make a lot of money, but they make a lot of money off the course that they sell, not the trades that
Yeah.
they're doing. And it's like, come on, man, like, what are you doing? Like, you can't flaunt the money and say it's from trading, but really it's from a trading course. And it's
Yeah.
like, this is ridiculous. But I like what you're doing though. You build them up and then you say, here's an account, have
Yeah.
fun. That's savage. There's a lot of trust in your students right there. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm actually in the process of funding three more of them. And so what we do is, and then at some point, I mean, nobody ever believes, like, I mean, even when these, testimonials are what they are, man, and like, but I've had some, like, I've had one student that's run, what we do is we start small and then we'll run like 5 to 10 grand up to 100. And so, like there was a student who doesn't want to be named, but we'll just call him Andy. But he did that. He did that almost 3 times. He was on, when we started working together again, he was on his third time from 10 grand to 100. And then, so that gives him that confidence to do it. So what I do is I give him, yeah, we'll start out with an account, let him blow it up, on my risk. And
In a
then,
good way.
provided, right.
Blow it up in a good way.
Yeah, right. Like run it up to, 6 figures, early 6 figures, and then see where they are. Um, yeah, once you do that, you something clicks in their mind, even with like a hardcore introvert, which this guy was. He was a doctor and he's just really quiet, and so, but it just took him. He realized, I can do this. I did this. I can do this again. And so something changes in their psychology.
Hmm. I wonder if it's also the fact of like if you trade on a paper trade account, it's different, right? Your emotions are going to be a little different. And if you trade with your own money, it's slightly different as well. And then if you're trading with somebody else's money, I wonder if that's like a different switch where they're a little more safe. They're a little more like I need to be sure about this rather than like like they scope things out
Right.
more. They're more
Right. I
diligent.
think so, but it also, what it does though, it gives them this detachment that's necessary to bridge. Most people come to me after years and years of frustration, and it's sad. The stories are really, really sad of people that just have wasted so much time and money on this. But so it builds that bridge where, okay, yeah, they're not winning and losing. And when they look at it, they say, well, Frank, I only have two rules. One, you seldom, if ever, should take a full R, like a full risk stop. And two, don't go off the reservation. So I look at what they do and then I can see, all right, yeah, he's analyzing well, let him go. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, why don't you throw one of those funded accounts my way? No, I'm just kidding.
well,
I
two
that would
rules.
really
It's always
I
use
would
that
literally blow it up. It would in
in
a
the wrong direction.
yeah, the wrong direction right there.
All
Um,
right.
it's funny. Next to that question of the how are you able to guarantee results, I leave a little notes for myself and I say that's a bold move, Cotton. Um,
Right.
but no, that's really cool. I saw that was one thing on your website. I looked, I was like, results guaranteed. What? That's insane.
Well, this guy, you know what it came from? It came from my coaching clients, because people would say, look, Frank, I got $2 million. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I understand that. You got 2 million. We're going to start with like 2 grand, get you like straight. And so, but the thing is like, there had to be a way, like there had to be an instilled belief system. So there's a whole bunch of things I do before I'll work with someone one-on-one like that. Like I took a look at their personality. We have an interview. I really see like, look, I can help this guy. And then, yeah, so from there, if I know I can get it to click, then what I do is I just hold their hand until they're doing it.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds bold, but it really isn't. I
Just
mean,
trust in who you're working with, essentially, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Right.
right.
A little hiring process, and then you, hey man, come on,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Are you able to talk about the private firm that you work with, or should we keep that private? The
Yeah, the family office it's a lot of it's real estate, and it was a family business that branched out in the 90s. And it was a friend of my mother. Well, my mother actually did accounting for them back in, um, I don't know, geez, it's way back. So it branched out into um, real estate, and then there's a stock portfolio. And then so over the years, I worked with them on hedging my market timing models and hedging things. And so it kind of grew into that, and it's given me a lot of like a lot of incentive um, to stay ahead of it. You know,
Just one family. Yeah.
so what's that?
Is it just one family?
Yes. Yeah,
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
yeah, yeah. So it's really small. I mean, these offices now, like, geez, down here, like they wanted to open an office down here, and and COVID hit, and that because I came from Jacksonville, and that just blew that apart. But yeah, but it's nothing. I mean, it's like it's amazing the size of some of these offices now. Like, I mean, 100 million is nothing. You
Yeah.
know.
That's
Now they're even banding together. There's consortiums of them. They're like they've got 20 billion like between them. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it's nothing that big.
yeah. I think like isn't like 20 or 50 millions considered like a small firm?
Oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's what this
100
is.
is the a hundred's that turnover, right? Of like if you're past 100 million, you're considered like kind of big, but you're still pretty small.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I think at 100, like I think you need 100 before JP Morgan will talk to you or whatever. Like they don't even let you in the door or whatever. I don't really know. But yeah, this is small. I mean, this is in that range of, I mean, it's enough to want to manage and grow. But yeah, not enough to where, we're making markets or anything like that.
Right, right. So we're getting towards the end here. We've been on for 41 minutes.
Wow,
I have a couple close. I know, right? This went by really quick.
it
Uh,
did.
I have a couple closing questions here. So, is there anything new and exciting that you're working on that you're pretty pumped up about? Anything new?
I'll tell you what, I did the last like 3 or 4 thousand screen hours came around the last couple of years, and I put together. I took the best of my workshops and I put it in. I'm doing a workshop now called and it's live. It's 6 weeks. It's 6 hours of intensive training, and so it's called Direction, and that's all my latest research. So that's the one where I really over the years it came from coaching from like trial and error with students. And since I'm not a teacher by nature, I mean, building curriculum is something where, I don't simplify concepts well. So this working with Ellie, we put together this where it's all done where, it comes from a teaching standpoint. And so the curriculum's much better, the flow's much better. And so, yeah, that's what I'm working on now. I think that's probably my best shot at cranking out profitable traders.
Nice. When is that due to be released, or is there a release?
I just enrolled my second class.
Oh,
Yeah, and I had one class in the first class was in February or went into March. So they run it 6 weeks, and then in between, like in the second one, I can dial in. What I'll do is I work on funding traders, get them up and running, and then I use their experience to improve the class for the next time. Because yeah, the course experience means a lot to people,
okay.
you know,
Hmm.
um, and whether or not it clicks, I've noticed that. I mean, how you present this and what it looks like makes a huge difference. I didn't realize. I always thought like the guy taught me to trade options. Like, man, he was horrible. Like he just wasn't a decent. I mean, he smoked. He had bad breath. Like you didn't even want to be around him, But so I mean, I'm there every day because I want to learn how to do it. Like I don't care if this guy's like, geez, he's so distasteful. Hey, but, today though, you want the course experience. I never thought of it that way, and so that's why working with people in the education industries really helped me smooth that out. So they're much more they're easier to take and probably more enjoyable for the students, and so they learn. I think they learn better as a result.
Nice, nice. Can the viewers slash listeners can they get in contact with you? Is there a way for them to reach out to you?
Yes, I have. Ellie gave me the links here. My website is frankbunn.com. And also my Teachable, the school is learn.frankbunn.com. And I don't know, they put together this free training. I have a link for that if you want it. I don't know if that
Yeah,
I can
send it
give
over. I'll
you.
put it in the description of the podcast. Yeah, whenever
Here's
you have a
the.
chance, just feel free to email it over to me.
Let me see if I can
And I think,
pop up in the message there.
yeah, there it is. Yep. Okay.
That's the free training. This is the second one is the school.
Okay.
That's my school, and also Frank Bunn, frankbunn.com.
That's your
You know
regular.
what? I'm not really sure what's on there, but something good.
I think your
Um,
courses are on there. If that was the same site
oh,
that I was.
okay, yeah, right, yeah. So there's the links. If you need, I appreciate what you're doing. No, I really do. I really trying to help people. I'm trying to change it one guy at a time or one person at a time. It's just too the crap I saw on Udemy was just wow, that was really bad. So I'd like to feel like I'm making a difference
Yeah.
and not taking someone's enrollment fees.
Hey, at least that's a good thing to say though. That's real right there. And honestly, I
Yeah,
mean, it's probably the same way how I feel about the podcast. Like I watch my first ones and I'm like, oh man, I was so bad. And like for this one, I think like I'm doing all right. But give it
yeah, you got it down.
3 weeks from now, I'm gonna watch this episode and I'm gonna be like, oh man, I sound so bad. I sound so. When I listen to myself, I sound cringy. I can't stand it. But
Oh, really? Yeah,
yeah.
I got used to that because it's like, man, this is just going to be horrible. I used to tell people early on, like, look, I don't teach well. Like, I'm a little frenetic. I got a lot of energy. I mean, like, hang in there. I had to give them the waiver. Uh, but you're doing well though. You got a good style with it.
Thanks, man. Maybe I'll start
Yeah,
a Udemy class as well and on podcasts or something.
yeah, no doubt.
Well, hey, man, this was a lot of fun. This zoomed by too, man. This felt like it was like 10 minutes, but we've been
Yeah.
on for 47 minutes.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate I appreciate the bump and listening to what I've got to say.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, thanks for having. Thanks for being on here, man. Hopefully, you're on here again in the future, and have a great
Yes.
weekend.
Okay, you too, Jackson. Take care.